Good evening. Well, not really. At the time of this filming, it's been about a day and a half since the conservative political personality Charlie Kirk has been assassinated. And so we get to talk about that today. First of all, my heart goes out to his family, his wife, kids. It is incredibly sad. People losing lives for at all is sad, and also one could argue losing a life for no good reason, right? A lot of people are devastated about this. A lot of people are very concerned. He was an influential person. He meant a lot to a lot of people. He inspired a lot of people. He encouraged a lot of people to share their beliefs, to think critically, and to act on them to some extent. I think he was also a very good inspiration to young people. Okay, I think that's probably pretty well acknowledged at this point. And I think that a lot of people are saying that he would have been president. Okay, we can't see the future, but he was the type of person who's got a young, good start in life, and had a lot of things going for him, and he was on his path, right? He was on his path of success, whatever you want to call that. So, but a lot of people are devastated about this. A lot of people are concerned and if you're one of those people who feel that because you align in some ways with Charlie Kirk, that now perhaps you are at greater danger, well, that is unfortunate. That is not cool, right? A lot of people feel like they might not know what to do. And so I'm going to talk about that in a little bit here. Just what should we be doing? Now, if you already know what to do, you don't need me to tell you what to do. That's not what this is. But a lot of people don't know what to do, and I guess I have opinions. And if you're here, then you're listening to my opinions. So, first of all, let's look at what Charlie Kirk. What a lot of people are talking about is that a couple of years ago, and then recently he kind of it resurfaced, but he mentioned that let's see if I have the quote here. Let's see. He said that that some gun deaths, and I'm putting that in quotes, are worth protecting the right of the Second Amendment. He feels that the Second Amendment was important enough that some deaths, and again he's saying gun deaths, we'll talk about that in a minute, that it's worth it. But let's roll back, and I dug deeper into the quote. He had a long speech. I mean, he speaks all the time, right? Or that was his thing. And the bigger part of the quote had to do with the Second Amendment, and he reminded people, and he's like, I'm going to make people uncomfortable here, that the Second Amendment isn't just to go hunting, for one. It isn't just for competitive shooting. It isn't necessarily even for, grandmas to protect their homes when someone breaks in, right? The point of the Second Amendment, as our founding fathers intended, was to protect. The point of the amendment in the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, was to protect the natural right of humans to be able to protect themselves, to defend themselves, especially against a tyrannical government. We forget about that. And so that is what he was trying to defend. And he defended it fairly well, I believe. And so when people say, he was okay with some gun deaths because of the Second Amendment, it's not because, some FUD Jerry gets to go hunting, and because of that, people die. Well, that's not how that works. And again, let's address the gun deaths. And I really hate that they call this gun violence. Well, I would say when there is ethnic violence, what we want to call that, if there's racial violence, if there's, we can just say black violence, white violence, domestic violence, things like that. All of that is describing either the victim or the perpetrator, generally the victim. Gun violence, if we're taking that literally, means that we're doing violence against the gun. We're not. Gun violence is just violence. the gun happens to be the tool that we use to do that. We don't have to repeat all this, but I've said this plenty of times. People have been killing other people for a long time in many, many ways. People have been defending themselves from other people killing them in many ways for a long time, since there were people. And so having a gun does not mean that the gun is doing this. This should be well known. If you're watching this, you probably know this, okay? And so gun violence in itself, I really, really don't like that term, or gun deaths. That's not what it is, or a mass shooting. No, it's a mass murder, and someone happened to use a gun. But you hear about the mass stabbings overseas, 35 people killed because because no one had a gun to stop the person with the knife. So anyway, Charlie Kirk was trying to defend that, and you'll see that quote thrown around a lot, that he's willing to give up some gun deaths to protect the Second Amendment. And I want to say that the Second Amendment is the government's obligation to protect the people's natural right to defend themselves, including our rights to defend ourselves from a tyrannical government. So anyway. And also the Second Amendment protects the First Amendment. We've heard about that. That's a common way to look at it. I'm not going to dig too deep into that. So, but people will say that it is ironic that he was killed by a gun. Well, I believe, and I thought this right away, and I stand by this, that he was probably already at peace with the possibility of violence being perpetrated against him, because he was a known figure. He was a divisive figure. And I didn't agree with everything he said, but I definitely agreed with his principles of trying to engage with people, trying to have a good discussion, trying to have, he was conservative. He had a lot of conservative beliefs, and I believe a lot of those things. But the fact that he wanted to engage with people, give people a chance to discuss that and to challenge him. Now, he was good at defending himself, okay? That's probably what made him so good at it, right? What was it even called? Prove Me Wrong, right? Prove Me Wrong is the name of his, not a show, but the shtick, if that's the wrong way to look at it too. So he did not do that within a small 50-room, 50-person college classroom with metal detectors and armed guards and bulletproof glass in front of it, right? He could have done that. He could have just televised it. He could have had just cherry-picked, the people that were going to be engage with him, debate him. Instead, quite often, he would stream it live. And of course, in Utah, I forget which university that he was speaking at, that was wide open, right? Many, many people there. And a lot of people are saying that he should have protected himself better. And that isn't a wrong take. But he was not an unintelligent person. I believe he knew the risks. I'm sure many people that cared about him encouraged him to take less risk. No doubt. There's a lot of questions about why someone was able to get an vantage point to attack him with a firearm. But I think that's something that can happen. Okay. It's kind of a weak argument. Okay, because a firearm or a security guard or whatever you want to call it, bulletproof glass, surveillance drones, all these things are just things that are supposed to help enforce a moral law. And we agree, we believe with ethically, morally, that we've agreed on the law that we don't murder people, okay? And so obviously it takes a person wanting to break that law, the human law, to kill another person. That is bad. And murder, to assassinate this person. Obviously it is politically motivated. It would be very, very difficult prove otherwise. Like that's just, we've reached that conclusion, and I think that's going to stand. There's a lot of speculation about the shooter, and I guess I haven't actually checked my phone in like 4 hours as far as what the latest is, but there has been some speculation or some conclusions made based on the ideological stance of the shooter, based on the firearm that they've found at this point. I don't really care. I feel that person, whatever they were for, whatever they felt was what they stood for, didn't really matter, because they were against Charlie Kirk. They intended to kill him, and they happened to succeed. That's the crime. It doesn't matter who that was. We need to treat things I don't really care about those things. Unfortunately, I guess one more thing here, that a lot of people might say that this was directly supported, or I should say built up, what's the term, coordinated by one side or the other. People are saying it's leftist support coordinated this attack. Very, very likely. Things kind of point that way. And just as easily, we know that it's possible, 1%, 40%, whatever, probably very low likelihood that this could also be a false flag, that this is something intended to strike that match, to light the fuse to the powder keg that has been, or the powder cache, which has been having more and more added to it over the past several years. Whatever the motivation, and however the means that led to this prominent person being murdered, it's now up to us to respond, to react. As members of this country, we need to decide what we're going to do. And that's kind of a scary thing to think about. A lot of people are fine just putting their head in the sand and saying, nope, I'm not going to engage with this. And there is some extent, there is validity. If you can go live your life and not be involved to some extent, there's value there. But more so, we should be mindful of what we're the society that we're in, and what we want to do to improve that. Now, unfortunately, some of the responses, some of the action, the retaliatory, I'll just say the reaction for a lot of people. Well, I'll just say we can just split it down the middle. Doesn't mean it's stereotypical. Doesn't mean it's absolute. But I'll just say the left and the right. Okay. Many are saying that the left is now emboldened to commit more murder, I suppose, against prominent right people on the right. And also, conversely, it is inspiring, unfortunately, people on the right to be more bold, and especially not to care as much, to say, well, I guess that's the game we're playing. Now I'm not going to care as much. My principles are out the window. And that part is scary to me. I don't want people's principles to be shaken, to waver based on other people's poor behavior. And so there's, the example that I can think of, a stereotypical example, was Bubba wearing his Caterpillar and ball cap, right? Driving his lifted Silverado, stereotyping here, that he gets pissed off and some a Subaru cuts him off, and he sees the coexist bumper sticker, whatever you want to call it, BLM, and he reacts. That individual did nothing to him as an individual, but he might respond with violence, with force that is unwarranted. And that's unfortunate. That is not what we want. And so if we feel that this is civil war, okay, if we've already reached that point, we've concluded that, we're there, how do we handle this? We still have to be true to our principles. We still have to abide by the laws that we feel guide us, either the natural laws of ethics, morality, right? And you can argue that some of those are gray areas or whatever, or even faith-based laws. We believe strongly in a lot of those, or especially just our governmental, our societal laws. And those have been frustrating lately because we see that those laws are not preventing, death. I mean, we've that people being arrested 14 times and not still in jail and then going out and committing a murder. Okay, that has happened recently, right? So I really, really worry about the left and the right really escalating things, caring less about following their own principles or the agreed upon rules in our society, and really escalating things, making things a lot worse. So, what should you do? Do you know what to do? Do you need something? Do you need my advice? If you feel you are a part of the class of Charlie Kirk who is targeted, right? If you identify as a conservative or whatever, well, know that people may be more emboldened to do you harm. It's possible. But I encourage people, if you ran out today and you said, I'm going to buy myself a gun, I need 1,000 rounds of ammo. And I've actually heard about this. People went, gun stores yesterday, people march in there, oh, I need 1,000 rounds of 5.56. Well, first of all, okay, I'm getting into gun territory here. 1,000 rounds of 5.56 is a good start at training yourself. 1,000 rounds of 5.56 is probably 995 rounds more than you need to defend yourself, okay? There's different ways to look at this. If you're trying to get ahead of the rush of the spike in ammo sales, okay, well, that's one thing. But don't contribute to it. Just be calm and get a good deal and buy it as you need to, right? Or if you're just running out there now, I need a gun. Now I got a gun, I'm going to be safe. Well, you're doing it wrong, okay? You're doing it wrong. For one, don't take this the wrong way. You should have already prepared yourself to defend yourself in one way or the other. Now, for those of you who are now interested in guns, welcome. Okay, like that's a thing. But I really don't like the fear mongering. I don't like that snowball to roll and get bigger and people worry more and more, especially if it's like a firearms and ammo scarcity type of thing that we now have a gun scare, right? So, but you should train, and not just train with now I got 1,000 rounds of ammo, right? Maybe train paying more attention to your surroundings as you walk in, or make better choices. I'm not going to walk in that area of town at this part of the day or this part of the night unaccompanied or without, don't just jump to the extreme on this. Know that people exist who may want you to be harmed, but don't make yourself a greater target. If you are already a target, if you are already, whatever, prominent conservative, I don't know, whatever, maybe a pastor to a popular church or something. Well, I hope that you already have a security plan, and I hope you already are taking steps to take care of yourself and your family, to be protected. But if you act too scared, if you behave in a knee-jerk manner and you act too scared, to some extent you will embolden, or you will at least, the terror has been achieved, right? We don't want to respond in that regard. We want to be cool-headed and make wise choices. Simple. It doesn't mean that I have all those wise choices for you, but I want people to think about what they're about to do and make choices that they will be proud of. Now, if you are a person who did not particularly like Charlie Kirk, or if you are, I'll just say if you're glad that he's gone, for one, shame on you. I'm not trying to convince anyone that Charlie Kirk was a better man than someone else, okay? I don't need to. He stated, he presented himself, he said, this is who I am, I believe I'm right. He had principles, and people liked him or did not like him for that. But if you are a person who is celebrating the death, the assassination of a man who did no harm to people, now that could be the argument there. People say, well, he fomented hate. That's the word out there. And this is ridiculous, okay? Hate is an emotion, okay? Or whatever. Hate is not an action. Prove me wrong, I guess. Help me understand this, but like, if I hate green beans, right, I might still eat them, okay? We're getting off track here, but like behavior, even if someone does say, well, those Swedes, okay, like those, pick your ethnic group, they should be wiped off the planet. Something ridiculous. Even if you say that with a loud voice and a lot of people hear you, you're not doing the crime, okay? Now, there is a point in which inciting violence is something we need to prevent, and it is punishable to some extent. So I understand that there's a balance and there's a fine line in there. And there are plenty of people, we're not kidding ourselves, there are plenty of people on the left who have, I mean, Elizabeth Warren right now is one of those people who is really just searching Elizabeth Warren right now. But that's not okay. You should not be doing that. But she's not getting 40 years in prison for that, okay? Now, someone going out doing crime, murdering someone, whether Elizabeth Warren says to or not, well, those people doing that crime, those are the ones who should be punished. So, I think I'm getting myself off track here, but if you are someone who didn't like Charlie Kirk, you're glad he's gone, shame on you. And please know that, how do I say this? That you're not gaining any favor. You're not earning any respect from people by saying things like that. And I really, really hate this part. They're like, oh, well, nobody deserves to die, or nobody deserves to lose a father, right? Those kids didn't deserve to lose a father, but they also didn't deserve him as a father. Or, no one deserves to, loss of life is always bad, but something. No, just say, we mourned the death, the political assassination of a person. That's bad. Just acknowledge that and accept that. And then go on to fight your other battles. That's okay. If you are if you are waging the political war of, say you're against guns, say you want there to be greater gun control. Well, make your argument principled and linear, not based on individual behaviors or acts. It needs to be data driven and whatever, all those things. Continue on your crusade, okay, but don't celebrate the death of an individual, the assassination of someone. That is not okay. I truly hope that we can resolve this, that people can de-escalate this. I'm concerned that that's not going to happen. So please do your part. Be part of the solution, not part of the problem, right? That's simple enough. I'm going to leave it at that. Please be part of the solution and not part of the problem as far as this pending civil war, whatever we want to call this. So that's everything to say for now. Here we go. That's it for now.